Oxfordshire District Council's Cabinet. I'm Maggie Rivers. Can't pronounce my own name. And I'll be chairing this meeting. I've been told that I need to let you know about emergency procedures. So please evacuate. There's no planned test or anything like that. I think the nearest exit is just to the right after you exit this room. And the Democratic Services Officer present will assist us in that event. And I've been told that your mobile phone should be off. Thank you so much, Matthew. That's good to know. Great. The first item on the agenda is Chair's announcements. I have none. So we can move to apologies for absence. Would you like to take a roll call?
Yes, of course, Chair. Councillor Peter Paul Barker.
Present online.
Councillor Sue Cooper.
Present in the room.
Councillor Mike Giles.
Present in the room.
Councillor Georgina Heritage.
Present in the room.
Councillor Lee Rawlins.
Present in the room.
Councillor Anne-Marie Simpson.
Present in the room.
Councillor Tony Morgan.
Present in the room.
And Councillor Maggie Philip.
Present in the room. I heard all my miss me. Excellent. Moving then to agenda item 3, and this is the minutes. We have minutes from the 5th of March. Is everybody happy for me to sign those? Edits? Oh, I read them really detailed. I don't know if it was you or Becky to do those. Very good. Thank you very much. I shall be signing those. I shall propose no second. Do we need a proposal and second?
Yes, if we can, yeah.
Okay, I'll
propose those.
Thank you. We've got some there. Emily and Lee. Good. So, moving on to agenda item.
So the minutes from February as well. Yeah.
Where are they?
They're in the main pack.
Okay, they're in the main pack. Okay, 5th of February as well. Then, are we all happy?
Yep.
Yeah. Good. Tony will propose. I'm happy to second. Good. Very good. So, moving on then. Agenda item 4 is declaration of interest. Does anybody have any disclosable pecuniary interest, other registrable interest, non-registrable interest, or any conflicts of interest in respect to of the items on the agenda? Oh, have none. Urgent business. This is to receive notification of any matters which myself as chair determined should be considered. If urgent business, I haven't got any urgent business. Okay. No urgent business. Public participation.
There is none, Chair.
Okay. That was agenda item 5 for you. No public participation. So now moving on to the meatier bits of our agenda. We have the Southern Vale Local Development Scheme. And this will be introduced by Councillor Simpson. And we have some officers in the room that can follow with questions.
Thank you. So it's what we're now calling Joint Local Plan 1, LDS, Local Development Scheme. So this paper is associated with the Joint Local Plan, although it's an update to the timetable rather than about the content of the Joint Local Plan. The Local Development Scheme, or LDS as shorthand, is the Council's statutory timetable for preparing and adopting our planning policy documents. Members will recall that the Joint Local Plan 2041 is currently at examination, and through that process the planning inspectors have been clear both in hearings and in subsequent correspondence that the council should update the LDS to reflect the revised examination programme. As you'll appreciate, once a plan is submitted, the examination timetable is largely in the hands of the inspectors, and since submission the programme has evolved with additional hearing sessions and a longer overall timescale than originally anticipated. As a result, the current LDS published on our website no longer reflects the latest position, with the August 2024 version of the LDS, which put the adoption of the Joint Local Plan in December 2025. The revised LDS before you responds directly to that request from the inspectors and brings the timetable up to date. In particular, it reflects the shift in the anticipated adoption date from December 2026 to May 2027, based on how the examination has progressed. Alongside the updated joint local plan timetable, the LDS also includes some routine updates to reflect progress on other planning policy work, including newly made neighbourhood plans, the status of conservation area appraisals, and the current position on any local development orders. The report also proposes a practical delegation to allow minor updates to be made as the examination continues so that we can keep the statutory timetable accurate and publicly available. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for this introduction. So we will go into questions first, not debate. Any questions?
Just a quick question, and I think you've answered it yourself, actually. I'm aware that other neighbourhood plans will be approved probably during the course of the inspection, but there's a way of updating the list, is there?
Yes, actually, that would be a question, I think, for officers for whether that will be included in the minor updates. If perhaps Lucy online could answer that.
Hello. The local development scheme just shows what's in progress or made at the time that it is approved. So if we have to update it again during the examination, then yes, indeed, we could wrap in any updates. I don't think we'd update just for that purpose, but we could if we need to update it because of the joint local plan again.
Thank you very much. Any more questions?
Procedural.
No questions. We are into debate then. Just before we go into that, we have a proposal and a second. Go into debate.
I think it's a no-brainer. It's a process thing that we need to do. So, yeah.
Agreed.
It's a process. So just say on paragraph 2, it says that it also takes into account some of the recent correspondence, which I think is really helpful to draw people's attention to if they wanted to have a read. And just a reminder that we're recommending this to council, right? So that's the recommendation. Yeah. Do you want to agree?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight something actually that I think would be useful for us all to be aware of, that LDS's local development schemes are part of the old plan system, local plan system, so they don't exist in the new plan system, which is why JLP2 isn't shown in it, in case that anyone asks you that question really. And the LDS will gradually disappear as old system plans are completed. So new system plans like what we're going to be calling the joint local plan we'll be talking about next have a different type of timetable which needs to be updated more regularly, but that that we can cover that later.
The next item. Thank you very much.
And I thought there was one other thing that might be useful to know is that there'll be elections to the shadow authority, as we know, in May 2027, and this new LDS is showing possible adoption in May 2027. So the inspectors have indicated through programme officer that our original suggestion of March 2027 for adoption is too soon to complete the examination and receive their report, suggesting it could take 2 months longer, hence May. We have therefore put May in the LDS, but actually the exact date could vary either forward or backwards. And obviously officers will take advice from colleagues in Legal and Democratic near the time about whether there's a need to avoid the pre-election period for a joint local plan, one adoption decision. And that will be actually taken by us as existing South and Vale councils rather than the shadow authority, which has more limited non-decision making remit. So we will still have our hand in it then.
Yeah.
Very helpful to.
That's really helpful to know and for everybody. So if there's no more debate, can we all agree the recommendations, which are set out on page 11? Thank you all very much. We can move to agenda item 8, and this is the South Oxfordshire and Vale of Whitehorse Joint Local Plan 2045. I actually have the older papers here, so this 2045, and this is again Councillor Simpson will be liaising.
Yeah, so this one we're referring to as Joint Local Plan 2, and this will become a bit clearer as I go on. So this paper's about our next local plan, and again, it's a procedural paper rather than about planning policies themselves. The headlines, basically, well, we are required by government to work on 2 local plans at once. So Joint Local Plan 1, which I've just been through the updating of the local development scheme for, and a new local plan, Joint Local Plan 2, which the report proposes we again do jointly with Vale. This is called twin tracking. New government regulations require us to start preparing this next local plan, which we are calling Joint Local Plan 2. I say it again, we'll get used to this Joint Local Plan 1, Joint Local Plan 2, with the twin tracking by the end of this month. So that's by the end of June 2026. Starting Joint Local Plan 2 is not instead of finishing Joint Local Plan 1, it is as well as. The regulations require councils and, in fact, 37 others who have also prepared their last plans under the previous arrangements, so the old National Planning Policy Framework and the lower housing numbers, to start preparing our next local plan. The government wants new system local plans to be prepared, consulted upon, and adopted in 30 months. This paper sets out the arrangements for starting Joint Local Plan 2. So by law, by the 30th of June 2026, we need to issue a notice of commencement and publish our timetable for the new local plan. So prior to this, council decisions are required to progress our new local plan jointly with Vale. This is the content of today's paper. By 31st of October 2026, we need to undertake a self-assessment for our readiness to prepare the plan, referred to as Gateway 1. That, by the way, is when the 30 months start ticking. Local government reorganisation will mean our councils will not be in place to adopt Joint Local Plan 2, but we have been told we must start the process. The new unitary authority will be able to adopt Joint Local Plan 2. So the recommendations in this report ask Cabinet to recommend to Council that members approve undertaking the local plan as a joint plan again, the joint plan with Vale, agree to governance arrangements involving separate council decisions at key stages, not a joint committee. This is very much as we've been doing to date with Joint Local Plan 1, and approve the commencement of Joint Local Plan 2. Then, subject to Council accepting these recommendations, there are extra Cabinet recommendations. These are approval of the commencement notice and the timetable for the Joint Local Plan 2, approval of various delegations so that the plan can progress to the 30-month timetable set out in the new legislation. And once again, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for reading out the recommendations. That's really helpful. We are into questions. So I'll go to Councillor Giles first.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Anne-Marie, for that. It's really helpful. I'm just a bit unclear about the government's logic. Maybe you can help me with. When we're still trying to create a local plan that's taken forever due to government hold-ups, when we still haven't even got to the end of that point yet, why are they asking us to create a second one when the initial plan we're trying to pass still has up to 2041 to go? I don't understand their logic. Maybe you could clarify what their logic is.
I'm afraid I'm not the government. I'm not Labour, and I cannot explain the logic behind it. But what I do know, as Cabinet Member for Planning Policy, is that we have to start this. It's a requirement for us to do so under legislation. So the new local plan system is in the new NPPF, and we know that that is going to be published this summer. And so that's really why we need to go ahead and do it.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. And do we have any more questions?
Some observations.
Oh, do you want to do them in debate or now?
I might as well do them now. Just as observations, I think the government are quite keen to get us onto their new housing targets. That I suspect is their motivation. I note that when we've done the final consultation, at that point we'll be crossing the May 28th timeline, which will put us into the world of the new unitary or unitaries that will then apply. So final adoption will not be in our period of South Oxfordshire District Council. I agree the governance that is proposed, and that we keep essentially the system that's worked for us so far. Just as an observation, I think this time when there are more sites probably to consider, when we get to grips with the numbers and so forth, the requirements, that may be handled is a point of difference with the JLP1 that we have done, where we haven't had to bring in a lot of new allocated sites, and that just needs to be handled with care between the two councils. That would be my own observation.
Do you want to respond?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's for later
Yes,
down the line to consider.
yes.
This paper is literally
Just
the
get us
notice
through
of
the
commencement,
day.
and we're required to do it. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
If I could also ask a question, I think probably more for Lucy as our officer. So effectively, this JLP2 will be adopted by the successor authority after vesting day, and just feels, and whatever happens, the new authority will be on a different geography. So how would adoption work in practice, but actually even beyond adoption, how would DM work, development management? Would different policies apply to the different geographies up until a new one is made for the successor authority, just for the benefit of the thousands of people watching?
It's a very good question. Basically, the joint local plan 2 will be part of the development plan, so it will apply just to the area that it's set out to cover and is in the scope of the plan. So if South and Vale do joint local plan 2, and that is adopted by the successor authority, then that will be part of the development plan for the area that covers South and Vale. It wouldn't then reach out and apply to any other areas that we're within future through the unitary geography. It will just apply to the footprint that is South and Vale now, because that's the area that it covers. But yeah, we have obviously been exploring this question and working out what would happen if. There are many uncertainties, but MHCRG have pointed us to the example, I think I'm going to say Purbeck, where they had local government reorganisation. There was a plan in progress. The successor authority after vesting day took that plan forward and adopted it, and that became the development plan for the area. So that is one model of what could happen going forward, that we start the plan and then the successor authority is the one that would be finishing it, the officer and member team. Yeah.
But the successor authority does have a choice as to whether to adopt it or not. I think
Yes.
we've been there before. We have been there before, so I probably shouldn't go into it. But Councillor Morgan, I think we're kind of into questions still, but
So just one point and then one question. Of course, it may not just be one successful authority, because in one of the options, of course, bits of South Oxfordshire go into a different council than the remainder. So we need to at least think about that. The question I have is really for officers, which is, clearly there will be challenges to staffing during the LGR process, and how comfortable are you with people perhaps leaving and not being able to be replaced because of various constraints, or what we can and can't do, that we'll be able to meet the timeline and there won't be a lag? Clearly we'll get to the end of the process of being the new authority, but are officers confident that we can deliver this with all the other massive challenges and potential shortfalls we've got?
yeah, I can actually confidently say that they are confident that they can meet this challenge. And as we know, we have a very capable team. And the other thing to remember is also that we will, so it almost comes back to an earlier point that Lee raised about sort of moving on to policies, and what to do next. So I really wanted to actually emphasise that although today is just about procedure, i.e. the notice of commencement, that's what today is, the decision is for, and that the contents, will be for the future decision making or worked up. And I want to just reassure people that just as we did with Joint Local Plan 1, where we really included members from all parties, all members of the council, through steering group and all councillor round tables, and obviously reaching out to communities for input. I think that that's something we really want to make sure that we do with Joint Local Plan 2. So just hold that as a thought. There will be a time for suggestions about the vision, approach and content of the plan, in due course, but today is actually just about the notice of commencement.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And I have to say, I think the process around engagement across council with the steering group and yes, the all council briefings. I mean, this has been really excellent. And yes, people would have engaged with it to a different degree depending on their interests, but certainly the opportunity has been there. And I join fairly regularly the steering groups since I became leader, and they're just really good. But I am worried about our officers and the pressure on them. They are asked to do a lot at a time of upheaval in terms of local government reform. So I think it's good to know that, Lucy, and we're behind you and the team. And I also wanted to make a comment about the fact that this is really new, and we are, you know, on the front lines of this new approach. I just don't want to call it innovative, but it is a new approach, and so we are all learning as we go along. But I'm sure that we will strive to be as collaborative as possible. So that's just I don't know, Lucy, if you wanted to make a comment at all around I guess it's the 3 UA option, and given that there is a boundary change there, how would that work in practice? And have we had any conversations with NHCOG around that?
You might be able to help with that.
Yeah, anyone?
Yeah, I mean, we know that the timing's really unfortunate, don't we? But the fact is we have to publish the notice of intention to commence the new local plan preparation by 30th of June, which is 4 months before the 30-month process kicks in, no later than 31st of October 2026. And this is set out in law. We don't have a decision from government and the local government reorganisation geography until after we've done that notice of commencement. We are, as you know, expecting announcements in July. So we don't know the new geography, but we must start nevertheless. So MHCLG's advice to other councils in a similar position has been, and I'll read this out because I won't remember it otherwise, any change would not come into effect until April 2028. So your authority would not be in a position to plan for any extended area until it has been formalised. On that basis, the expectation is for your authority to progress your existing plan based on current boundaries against the milestones you're committed to through applying for funding. So to clarify, it's not legal advice, it's clarification following my better understanding of the position. So that's what MHCLG has told council. So just something to bear in mind.
Okay, I still have a lot of questions, but I'm sure we all do around that. But hopefully we can continue our engagement with MHCLG to clarify this as it is so new. I think we sort of done debate, but does anybody want to second?
Oh, may I just make a comment? And really, it was just to reiterate what you said, Maggie. It's something I wanted to say before. I know we've been here before to some extent, albeit this is very new, and I'm you know, I don't underestimate us. When I first became elected, we went through this process and I saw the level of work that was undertaken. Don't underestimate the amount of work ahead. And Marie Councillor Simpson must feel she's on a JLP hamster wheel or Groundhog Day. I don't know how you want to phrase it, but I'm glad that we have a cabinet member who has that experience. But and more than anything, you know, many thanks to officers for embracing this as robustly as you are, and I know how difficult it must be to face this journey again so soon. And I just wanted to reiterate really what our leader said, that you know, all power to you officers. You're an incredible group of people, and we're very much behind you, and we'll work very collaboratively with you. And just thank you, really.
Thank you so much, Councillor Heritage. Now we've kind of gone into debate, so I will. Councillor Simpson will pose. Was anybody want a second? Let's get on. Okay, Lee Rollins with a second, and now we're into debate. Did you want to make some more comments? Yep, go ahead.
Yes, I mean, I'm happy to vote for this. Yes, I feel that we got no choice actually, and it's procedural things, very much like the last item. And we've got to do it. I mean, personally, I think it's daft to spend a lot of time on this, because I would have thought, you know, if I were to be a councillor on the new shadow authority, which is highly unlikely, I'll leave it to other people. You know, I would rather start again with a new plan for the whole area. But my view is we do whatever we've got to do and very little more at this stage to, you know, so that we don't overcommit. And really the emphasis ought to be on trying to get through JLP1, which everybody wants and hopes would be in place by now. This business that our leader has just raised of, you know, what happens if the areas are divided up, because I went to Walborough Parish Council last night. It's the one parish that I've got that's in the green belt. And I was explaining what we've got to do with this and saying that it would be my understanding that, you know, I actually spoken to Lucy yesterday afternoon and said, you know, what happens if we got part way through, and she kindly explained that other councils have gone on and adopted it for part of the district.
Yeah.
So I was saying to Warburg, you know, it's in your interest to, you know, take an interest in this, because it might still apply to you even if you've been put in with Oxford, which will be a very funny arrangement. But so, well, that's what we've got to live with, except that I'm still very much of the view that these things are supposed to be done in such and such a time, and I have yet to see a local plan come in anywhere near where it was designed to go in the first place. So I might be wrong, perhaps it will be, but we'll see.
Did Lucy, no, nothing more for Lucy. Any more for Mo? Great. Can we all agree? Oh,
I've just thought it might be useful because Simon's sitting there and Peter Paul's on screen. Just to also add that it is good that we have we've each applied and been awarded Southend Vale money from government or government funding for these new local plans. So 108,474 and 57 pence each council, and it won't cover the cost by any means. If only we could get a plan in at that cost, but we can't. But at least it will help the plan get started and you know, put together with our existing budgets. So, but just I think something that at least a small positive.
Yeah, small positive indeed. I worry that even if you kind of throw money at the problem, you may not get the planners that we need in time.
And can I also just add my thanks to the team, because honestly they have been phenomenal, taking all this information and policy coming at them thick, fast, and they just seem to take it on board, look a bit surprised in the face for a bit, and then they just get on with it. It's quite phenomenal to actually behold. So, and very good communicators as always. So I think we'll all second that.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully this feels like a little bit of encouragement for you there. Thank you all. Can we all agree the recommendations? They are set out on page. There's quite a lot of them, so we won't read them out, but I think Catherine has agreed with you. Okay, very good. That's unanimous. Thank you. We now have to exclude public, and I'm helpfully being given the script. So do members agree to exclude members of the press and the public from the meeting for the following item of business under Part 1, Schedule 12A, Section 11A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, and as amended by the Local Government Access to Information Variation Order 2006, on the grounds that I(1) it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraphs 3 and 5 Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act, and the public interest in maintaining the exemption outweighs the public interest in disclosing the information. I feel like you gave me a longer question. Are we all happy to exclude public on those grounds?
Yes.
Do we need a second turn? Oh, no, that's fine.
Larry, could we stop the broadcast, and can you just confirm once we're off, please?